2021 has been a rollercoaster ride across markets. So today we're going to take a look at what 2022 might have in store for us and which crypto trends to look out for. Hey guys, Sheldon Evans here, welcome back. Or if you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on all of the bell notifications and give the video a like if you find any of the content useful. So on my display right now, I have the top cryptocurrencies by market cap, and over the past few weeks, we've simply been consolidating and trending sideways, but we have had some pumps here and there from certain coins. Before we get further in depth in the market, I just want to highlight that I still do have that $50,000 giveaway going. We've got 8 days left. $1,000 in Ethereum to 25 people, $1,000 in Solana to 25 people, and 11 random winners of the YMH NFT. Now, this is my NFT project. I suggest you follow us on Twitter and follow my main Twitter account. I will be releasing some more information there in the future too. We do have a ton of NFTs that we're adding to the treasury that will be used as giveaways to YMH NFT holders in the future. So if you haven't yet, I suggest you go check that out. It doesn't cost you anything to enter. You simply have to follow and complete some of the tasks that you can see here. The link to that will be in the description down below. Now, back into the market. As I've said, over the past few weeks, we've been consolidating sideways, and a lot of people are expecting this major parabolic rise into towards the end of the year, similar to that we had in 2017. Now, just because this happened in the past, as I've said many times, history doesn't necessarily have to repeat itself, although we may have some rhyming. And we might see this sort of blow off top or parabolic rise as we head into next year, Q1, Q2 of 2022. Now, of course, this is just speculation, and perhaps we don't even have this parabolic rise blow off top that most people are expecting. Such is the state of the market. If many people are expecting something, it's less likely that said thing will happen because most people are prepared or counter trading what the major news or the major narrative is. So if everyone's expecting a blow off top, most people will take profits before that happens, therefore not leading to a blow off top, and we have this sort of rounding of end to the market. Now, of course, we might not even have that. Perhaps we have this simple up and to the right motion that we've been seeing across markets. If we take a look at the S&P 500, we've simply been up and to the right for the past few years. Now, we could see something similar to Bitcoin or to the cryptocurrency market as a whole as the market matures and sort of becomes a more of a macro asset class rather than this niche asset, which it has become over the past year, I would say. We've got a ton of institutional and retail adoption over the past year, but still not true mass adoption, but a ton of new market participants that are somewhat skilled investors, as we've seen most of the huge institutions coming into the market and trying to capitalize and shake out retail hands or the inexperienced investors. Now, with that being said, we could potentially see a major dump or a major pump in towards the end of the year. Complete speculation. It doesn't matter what happens towards the end of the year. All I'm saying is that it's more likely that we have this sideways consolidation and more of a slow grind up as we move into 2022, which in my opinion is the best case scenario because this leaves room for a higher blow off top if we do end off in that scenario. The reason being is that as the market moves up and to the right, we do have sort of these upper and lower limits of where the blow off top of the market might be. Now, this is usually determined by what we talk about as the stock to flow model. Now, the stock to flow model is just that. It is just a model. It's not necessarily something that is tried and true that has to sustain or has to apply to the market for eternity. There could be a point where this model breaks. However, what we can use it to do is judge risk or judge when the perfect time or an optimal time to enter the market is. And the reason that I say this is that the market doesn't necessarily have to follow the stock to flow line exactly. So the black line is the stock to flow model's basically middle line. Now, the red line is the price of Bitcoin. And you can see that Bitcoin does oscillate quite drastically around this line. What instead we should be looking at is the bands. So you can see there's the dark blue and then the lighter blue bands as we've got on either side of Bitcoin. And this gives us a pretty good range as to where we see the possible maximum or possible minimum price of Bitcoin is, as long as we retain or track this model. Now, just because Bitcoin is at the lower bound of the band, it doesn't necessarily mean that this is the end of the bull market or that this is the worst opportunity to buy or that this is the best opportunity to buy. All it does is it minimizes your risk to reward ratio. So if you're buying or entering the market at the lower end of these bands, you're essentially minimizing your risk, not hitting it at zero. You're not canceling out risk entirely. There will always be risk in this market. And as you know, those who risk more or who are willing to take bigger risks are usually the ones who will be rewarded the most. So when you're looking at the market and you're looking at a perfect opportunity to enter, or at least an optimal opportunity to enter, you're better off looking at when Bitcoin is tracking along the lower ends of these bands. So that being said, currently at the price we're at with Bitcoin right now isn't necessarily the worst time that you could be buying Bitcoin at. And this goes for the case with many of the other altcoins as well, with regards to Ethereum and Solana, Cardano, Polkadot, Avalanche. They're all sort of at this point, these key support levels, which means that the downside risk is more minimized than the upside potential. So while of course we could break lower and we could have a major sell-off and potential 3-year bear market, your risk to reward ratio at this current moment is better than buying when everything is pumping to new all-time highs. And talking about new all-time highs, we take a look at Terra Luna hitting $93 at a high of around $98 yesterday, almost $100. Now, this is an example of what I would say is not the best risk to reward ratio. While I do believe that Terra Luna has a ton of more upside in the future, buying at the top of an upswing when the rest of the market has simply been consolidating sideways, and Terra Luna hitting 50% in the past 7 days. Of course, it could go more. It could go to 100%. It could go to 200% in the past 7 days. But what I'm saying is buying after pumps versus buying at the lower bound of the bands or the lower side or the lower risk is the best opportunity if you're looking to make insane gains in this market and in the future. So with that being said, let's take a look at what the rest of the market is looking like and what sort of trends I'm looking out for 2022. First, I want to talk about DeFi. Now, Terra Luna is one of the major DeFi ecosystems, one that I do believe will be the leader in DeFi as we move into the following year. The reason being is that with simply 13 protocols listed on it, it is currently the second highest protocol with highest TVL, total value locked, below Ethereum. So with just 13 protocols operating on Terra right now, we're at 19, almost $20 billion TVL. That's higher than BNB, higher than AVAX, Solana, Polygon, Matic, pretty much everything else, except, of course, Ethereum. Now, Ethereum is the second largest cryptocurrency by market cap, so that is to be expected that the most of the value accrued in the system in the network is locked on Ethereum. But with Terra Luna sitting at the 9th spot, which I still do believe has a good opportunity to pump up into the top 5, top 4 cryptocurrencies by market cap, sitting at number 9 with only 13 protocols listed on it, with the second highest TVL, I think is very, very bullish in my opinion. So that takes us on to DeFi. I do think that DeFi into 2022 is going to be one of the major trends, just as we had in the past, although this time I would like to refer to it as DeFi 2.0. In the previous year or 2 years, we've had DeFi explode across a variety of different protocols and networks, but most of this has sort of been an experimental stage, in my opinion. Most of Ethereum, there's been hacks, there's been destructions, there's been exploits, there's all of these things that have gone across in DeFi. There's been huge APRs and APYs crashing down to 0 APY from thousands of percent. This has all been an experimental stage, and I do believe that we will still see a lot of this as we head into the next year, but one of the major, or I would say blue chip DeFi protocols would be Terra Luna. They've got this entire DeFi ecosystem that has the potential to onboard millions, if not billions of users onto cryptocurrency. And the reason is that this protocol, it doesn't necessarily require you to be very crypto adept. You don't need to be a crypto native to understand how to borrow, lend, and trade crypto on Terra Luna. Whereas most other protocols require you to be some sort of a crypto native. You need to have some understanding of crypto. You need to be sort of in the ecosystem to find these good APIs. You need to experiment, you need to learn, you need to dive deep, and you need to watch videos, learn on Twitter, read articles and so on to find these opportunities. Whereas Terra Luna has this huge global ecosystem that allows people to easily be onboarded into the DeFi ecosystem and trade and earn on their crypto or stable coins, which most people are familiar with. Most people are familiar with the US dollar, so using something like UST as a stable coin to earn yield on that is very easy for the layman or the average person on the street to understand. Although going to the average person on the street and telling them that they need to sell 3 of their donkeys to get 15% APR every single minute and whatever else. There's tons of complicated methods to make tons of APR and APY in crypto, but explaining that to the average person is very, very difficult. So I think something like Terra Luna, with their entire global sort of ecosystem that's onboarding people to crypto without realizing that they're actually using crypto and earning APR and APY on their stable coins, I think is very, very important. Now, DeFi, not just with Terra Luna, I think there will be huge DeFi opportunities as we move into 2022 across ecosystems. There will be huge opportunities, just as we've had in the previous years. In the experimental years, should we say, we will have more of these experiments moving up into the following year. Now, what else do we have in store? I would say the Metaverse. The Metaverse has been a major trend over the past few weeks or past few months, specifically after Facebook changed their name to Meta, Square to Block, and so on. We've got tons of these companies shifting into Web3, into the Metaverse, into NFTs. And I think this is an opportunity to capitalize on. While I do think a lot of the gains have been made in the Metaverse plays so far, we aren't necessarily at the peak of the Metaverse. We haven't really entered what most people would see as the future of the Metaverse, this fully digitally immersed world. Now, Elon Musk says that Neuralink is better than the Metaverse long term, and I would tend to agree with him. Now, if you don't know what the Neuralink is, essentially it's an interface for us to connect our brains to our electronic devices. Now, Elon Musk speaks many times that our cell phones are already an extension of ourselves. They're the extension of our cyborg beings. If you didn't have your cell phone with you, you wouldn't have access to the internet, you wouldn't have access to Google, you wouldn't have access to social media. And we've entered a society where these things, while we might not love them and they might not be ideal for our brains and our mental health and so on, it has gotten to the point where they are extensions of ourselves. Now, Neuralink will simply accelerate that. At the input that we have with our phones, we have to use our thumbs. On our computer, we have to use our keyboards. Maybe you can use your voice. These methods of input are actually very slow, and this is what Elon Musk comments on. Once we have Neuralink and we're able to simply connect our brains to the computer or to the internet, and we can interface with the computer at a much faster bandwidth, we're able to then fully immerse ourselves in this digital world. While I myself am not personally very excited about this, it is something that is quite exciting to think about and might be exciting to experience. But this sort of dystopian future where we're all living in the digital world and we have no human physical contact sounds kind of sad. But with that being said, we have to adapt. As I've said many times, see the world for as it is rather than you wish it would be. So looking at the world this way and understanding that this would be the future of the Metaverse when we're in fact fully immersed in the digital world, actually working and playing blockchain games, perhaps fully immersed, is where I see the potential being in the future. The current state of the Metaverse market with smaller ecosystems and smaller companies coming out and making these games and building these play-to-earn games and these immersive experiences are fantastic and good. But again, think of it as DeFi 1.0. This is Metaverse 1.0. This is the experimental stage. This is the stage where we start playing with things, where we break things, where things go horribly wrong and some things go horribly or incredibly right. And those are the things that will then accelerate growth forward and innovation forward as we build those long-standing Metaverse plays or long-standing Metaverse ecosystems in the future. And while it might not be ideal that Facebook has changed their name to Meta, Meta might be the one company, or since they have the resources, they have the reach to build the infrastructure for the future of the Metaverse. Now, in this future Metaverse, perhaps Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg do become our gods, but that is the state of the world that we're in right now. Perhaps that is the case. I do believe that they may lay the groundwork for the infrastructure that allows us to have this fully immersive 3D interactive metaverse that we might have in the future. So that being said, I would say look at where the building is going on in the future right now with regards to gaming and NFTs in the metaverse. This is where the monetary opportunity comes from. You need to look at where you can invest your money in these smaller startups that are integrating and making these fully immersive experiences. I don't think the future of metaverse is going to be play to earn, simply grinding your way to make money in the metaverse. I think it will get a lot more complex and a lot more immersive than that in the future. True real world opportunities where people are actually actively working in the metaverse, not necessarily just playing games, even though gaming does have a very huge opportunity to onboard millions and even billions of people to crypto. I think when we're actively working in the metaverse, people are hosting meetings, hosting workshops, experiences, concerts, and so on in the metaverse that is way more immersive and experience and an engaging experience, I think is where we're going to see the opportunity. So I would say, personally, I'm placing my bets on the companies and the businesses building those plays or building those experiences. Even if they aren't successful or perfect at first, there is an opportunity to make this even better in the future. And that's why we lay our bets very, very early. And the final major trend that I would say is, of course, NFTs. Now, NFTs have been huge over the past year. We've seen major gains. Just yesterday, we saw Bored Apes flip CryptoPunks in the floor price. Now, also not an ideal situation. I did watch this happen. I was on the brink of watching this CryptoPunk, or watching the ape that was about to flip the CryptoPunk. I literally almost bought it 32 seconds too late, in fact. But I would have hoped that this event took place in a different method, meaning that we didn't see the floor of CryptoPunks dipping dramatically while Bored Apes simply stood stagnant or went up slightly to overtake it. I would have preferred to see a major run from Bored Apes to overtake CryptoPunks and really left them in the dust. Now, I'm not hating on Bored Apes and I'm not hating on CryptoPunks. I think they're both equally useful for their use cases. As I've said in previous videos, CryptoPunks will forever be the historical profile picture project in my opinion, and Bored Apes simply use that as the groundwork to lay what they have built today. Now, they did overtake them very, very quickly. In less than a year, they've overtaken CryptoPunks, which took many, many years to get to the floor that they are right now. But I think NFTs still have a ton of room to grow as we head into the next year. The goal here, or the most important factor, is pinpicking what will be the 1% of the top performers. There are thousands of NFTs being launched every single day, but not all of them. In fact, most of them will be worthless in the future. So what we need to look for are the ones that have the best use case and the best communities around them. So what Bored Ape I think has done incredibly well is build up this organic community. They haven't necessarily had to force themselves into the face of these of the public to get this mass adoption or to get this huge hype that they have around them. It's grown organically because you're able to buy a Bored Ape, you own the IP to that, you're able to build spin-offs and use that IP however you wish. And that is where I think CryptoPunks went wrong, is holding the IP for Lava Labs, and they in fact cannot then pass off that spin-off or the natural organic growth that the CryptoPunk holders may have. They're simply tying their identity to the profile pictures of the project, which is basically the use case of CryptoPunk. So I don't think they did anything wrong there. However, I do think that's what led to the success of Bored Apes. Now, NFTs, not necessarily just speculating on the artistic side of NFTs. We're in the realm of the market right now where NFTs are a speculative asset. The major high bubble prices that we're seeing of NFTs are in fact that they are high bubble prices waiting to pop. Now, it doesn't mean that we're at the very peak of that. They could triple, double, even 100x from here. We could see insane gains across the NFT market. But what I'm saying is the use case for NFTs, and NFTs in gaming specifically. NFTs that have actual utility behind them are the ones that will be successful in the long run, in my opinion. Because if you're holding these NFTs and you can actually use them rather than simply use them to flex and show off to your friends how much money you have, we've gotten to the stage in the market where so many people are so incredibly rich that using this as a simple status symbol doesn't really appeal to me that much. I think the real use case comes from using these NFTs and using them to play in the games and in the metaverses that are looking to be built in the next 2 to 5 years. Now, in the next year, in 2022, I do believe that while we're in this bull run or this bull phase of the cycle where everyone's still excited about crypto before we do have somewhat of a crypto winter or crypto bear market, I think is the opportunity that we have to use to capitalize on where these NFTs are going to be exploding. And the NFTs that are going to explode are the ones that have the utility and the use in the metaverse, in my opinion. I think this NFT gaming hype, the gaming hype as a whole, has a lot of room to grow as we head into 2022, as we start seeing games or studios like Ubisoft and Marvel and Nike and Adidas. We have these huge institutions moving into the NFT and gaming space. That provides us with a lot of opportunity as we head into the next year, purely based on the fact that these major corporations or these major studios that have been building games for many, many years have the opportunity and the resources to build blockchain-based games. Now, the problem that we have with blockchain-based games right now, just like the rest of the crypto market, is it's a very experimental stage, meaning most people are building things and breaking things and creating these games that sort of get exploited and destroyed and have high APRs right as you start playing them before it drops off dramatically. We need sustainable ecosystems that people can play for many, many years rather than simply jumping from one opportunity to the next. We want these sort of mass games that sort of grab everyone's attention for those to be major successful financial plays. Now, the reason that I'm talking about wanting these individual games to be huge or massive and global adopters is that if we do want those insane gains in these cryptos and in these ecosystems, that is exactly what we need. Now, if we're looking from a purely crypto purist or blockchain purist perspective, we don't want these mass entities controlling everything, but from a financial investor's perspective, that is exactly what we want because it provides the best financial opportunities. So that is why I say I'm not necessarily a blockchain maximalist or a blockchain purist. I'm someone who speculates on the market. I love the tech behind things, and I also use those as financial opportunities or incentives when investing. At the core of things, I'm an investor. I'm a person that is speculating on the markets and speculating on the future of blockchain, and I'm investing long-term for that exact reason. I do believe everything that I buy now and hold long-term does have that potential to 10 to 100x gain in the next 5 to 10 years, and I have no plan or no incentive to sell in the short term, because I do see the future of NFTs, the future of gaming, and the future of the metaverse in the next 5 to 10 years being the major players that will provide us the best gains and the best opportunities as we head into the next couple years. I hope you guys liked that video. If you did, if you haven't yet, please go ahead and enter the giveaway. If you made it this far in the video, comment teddy bear in the description or in the comments down below and enter the giveaway if you haven't yet. As always, I shall see you in the next video. Cheers. Have a wonderful Christmas. Bye-bye.